answers. The problems have been well documented, but what about the solutions? That's where I started our conversation earlier this evening with best-selling author and host of a wildly popular radio show, Charlamagne the God. Charlamagne, this moment that we're in, days of protest in every state in this country in the wake of George Floyd's death. How does this moment become a movement? How do we get there?
I think it's a movement now. I think it's a movement because it's divine. You know, I really feel like God has given America a chance to do the right thing. And, you know, everything that's happening right now is a reminder to America and the world to do right by black people. There is no good that's going to come to America until they do right by black people. It is time for America to atone for its original sin, which is slavery, and that's only going to happen through legislation and reparations. That's why I think that it's divine. This is happening during an election year. America has to make amends for the wrong that is done to black people in this country. If not, America can't handle the karma that it's currently experiencing. Just pay attention to everything that's been happening in 2020. If you think this year's been hell so far, you haven't seen nothing yet if America doesn't atone for the sins of its past when it comes to the African-American community.
You've talked about economic justice as well being a part of this. What does that economic justice look like beyond reparations?
Well, when I say reparations, you know what I mean? It can't look like anything beyond money, you know? Because I think as long as we live under a mechanism of white supremacy, we're going to always be oppressed. Like, the whole point of systemic racism is for America to keep its knee on the necks of black folks. So when you talk about institutional racism, that's going to always exist because you always going to have individuals who are prejudiced in positions of power. Systemic racism is going to always exist because you have certain policies and practices that run deep in this society. Until you have more of us in these institutional positions of power, or better yet, more of us creating our own institutions, until you have more black people getting rich and creating our own systems, until you have white people who want to use their privilege to combat prejudice and who are intentional about dismantling the mechanism of white supremacy, things not going to change. That's when I love when somebody like Jay-Z says financial freedom is our only hope. Or I love when the Honorable Elijah Muhammad said, do for self and build your own, because all that power we build amongst ourselves will give us the resources we need to really push these, you know, white folks in this country to destroy the institution that is systemic racism. So you got to have the money. So when I say reparations, that's exactly what I mean. Some type of economic justice plan, some type of economic equity plan, some investment has to be made into the black community. It has to.
One of the things that's really struck me over the past week or so, you look at the protests around America, and we've been here before. We've seen this before, where something terrible happens in the marches and the rallies and the protests. But a lot of times in the past, it would seem as if most of the folks there looked like me, looked like you. This time, I have been blown away by the diversity of the demonstration, if you will. A lot of people marching and chanting. They don't look like us. And it's not just young white people. It's older white people. It's the rainbow of America. What does that say to you?
It says to me that, you know, people don't just necessarily love black culture. They love black people. And I think that that's a white supremacist's worst nightmare, to see young white kids out there screaming Black Lives Matter, to see young white kids out there protecting, you know, black men and black women from the police. Like, I think that is such a beautiful thing, because the reality of being a black person in America is the creeds that America promises us, you know, are just promises America only apply to you when they want it to. Like, we don't experience true freedom or equality or justice. That's just not the way this white supremacist system has been designed. This country was built for white people, by black people. And even if you have achieved some level of success as a black person in America, if you come from a poor and disenfranchised area, or you come from the hoods in the inner city, or a dirt road down south like me, like I do, you never truly feel comfortable, because you know this white man's heaven that you've been able to thrive in is still the majority of black people's hell. So for other people to feel that and finally be saying, yo, this is the reason they scream Black Lives Matter, I think that's a beautiful thing, and that's game changing. That's what lets me know it's a paradigm shift going on.
Charlamagne the God, I always enjoy your perspective, sir. Thank you. Thank you for your insight tonight.
Appreciate you, Craig.
Thank you.
Hey, NBC News viewers, thanks for checking out our YouTube channel. Subscribe by clicking on that button down here. And click on any of the videos over here to watch the latest interviews, show highlights, and digital exclusives. Thanks for watching.